Puss in Boots. In a far-off land, in a far-off time, there lived a poor miller who had 3 sons. As the miller was growing old, he decided to give his sons everything he owned, such as it was. To the eldest son he gave the mill itself, and to the second eldest he gave his donkey. But the only thing he had left for his youngest son was a cat. That's it. Sorry, son. The youngest son wondered how he could possibly make his fortune with only a cat. Perhaps all I can do is eat it. The cat had other ideas.
Now let's not be hasty. Just give me a bag and a new pair of boots and you'll see what I can do.
The young master didn't have high hopes, but he did as the cat asked. With a stylish pair of boots and a bag slung around his neck, the puss strode out into the world. First he went to a field where he caught a nice black rabbit which he put into his bag. Then he went to the palace and asked to see the king. The king didn't usually receive cats, but he was curious.
Wearing boots, you say? This I've got to see.
In the throne room, the cat gave a low bow and presented the rabbit to the king.
A gift from my master, your majesty.
The king asked who the cat's master was, and the cat announced grandly,
The Marquis of Calabar.
The Marquis of Calabar, of course,
said the king, having no idea at all who that was. A few days later, the cat caught a fine pair of partridges. Then he went to see the king again.
Another gift from the Marquis of Calabar, your majesty.
Partridges. How nice. Give the Marquis my best, won't you?
And so it went on, with the cat regularly stopping by the palace bearing gifts, and the king regularly wondering who this generous Marquis could be. One day, the cat heard that the king was going for a drive beside the river with his beautiful daughter, the princess. He ran to his master.
Take off your claws and jump into the river, and your fortune will be made. Trust me.
Somewhat puzzled, the young man did as he was told. As the king's carriage drove up, the cat began calling,
Help! 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 The Marquis of Calabar is in trouble.
The king stopped his carriage.
What's all this then, cat?
Sire, while my master was bathing, a thief stole his beautiful clothes, and now he has nothing to cover his nakedness.
The princess giggled. But the king ordered the servant to fetch one of his best suits for the Marquis to wear. Once dressed in the royal finery, the young master looked handsome, rich, and every inch a real Marquis. The king was impressed, and the princess even more so.
Ask him back to the palace, Daddy. Go on.
Marquis, would you care to join us?
Delighted, Your Majesty. So the young man stepped into the royal carriage where he and the princess promptly fell in love. The cat's plan was starting to work, but he wasn't done yet. Running ahead of the carriage, the cat came to a magnificent castle owned by a magical ogre. The cat raced in to see him.
People say you can turn into any animal you choose. Surely that can't be true?
The ogre growled.
Not true. Watch this.
And he turned into a lion. The puss trembled.
But a huge fellow like you couldn't possibly turn into something tiny, like a mouse?
At once, the ogre changed into a mouse, and at once, the cat swallowed him up in one gulp. The cat raced outside just as the royal carriage drove up.
Welcome to my master's humble home, your majesty.
The king looked around at the castle in amazement. The Marquis looked even more amazed, and the princess was suddenly more in love than ever. That night, after a sumptuous feast, where the cat made sure the king's glass was never empty, the king nudged the young man.
You know, I think you'll make a fine son-in-law, my boy.
So, the next day, the Marquis married the princess, and they all lived happily together in the castle with the cat, who never had to catch another mouse as long as he lived.